Welcome to DePIN Deployer, bringing you the latest DePIN news and founder interviews. I'm Leo from Future Networks, a mass DePIN hardware deployer. We've got one of the largest DePIN hardware portfolios globally, and we're here to share our insights with you and help you decide which projects to get behind. Consider subscribing if you want updates on new projects, market trends, and founder interviews. We hope you enjoy. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we are joined by a familiar face, Mike Horton, CEO of Geodnet, who was actually with us about 7 months ago. So really looking forward to catching up, seeing what's new. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. Great to see you, Leo.
Likewise. And yeah, for anybody out there, if you don't know what Geodnet is, I'm sure you do if you're watching this, but go and look at the podcast that we did back in October last year. But otherwise, really looking forward today to diving into some really big news recently, actually. So Geodnet co-leading the $2.6 million seed round of Rover, a big strategic partnership there. To the extent that you guys are actually sharing an office, is that correct?
Yes, indeed. In fact, just to the right side of me is the office where Chris Campbell, who's the head of BD for Rover, sits. And we've been working together, kind of working through, Silicon Valley here is full of autonomous driving companies. So working through our outreach and kind of trial data sharing program with Rover for this market here in the Valley. So yeah, every day talk to him.
Amazing. I bet he is very happy to have a partner like you and Geodnet by his side. It's going to be super helpful. Again, we can dive into that today. Before we do, I'd love to just get an update for Geodnet, what's been going on in your world as well. So as I said, when we last spoke about seven months ago, there was a couple of targets that you'd set for 25. So maybe we can check in on the progress there. The first was 20,000 stations live by the end of the year. How are we doing on that front?
We're on track, man. We're on track. I think there's still quite a few. We got way behind, and we apologize to the community. Our network of kind of manufacturing support got a bit overwhelmed, and we did this joint device with Wingbits. I actually have one right here. This guy, he turned out to be a big engineering task in terms of the complexity of that design. And so we got behind, but we're catching up, and we have still quite a lot in the sort of channel that needs to get shipped out. So I do think we'll hit the 20,000 number by the end of the year, almost with 100% certainty. That's basically a done deal.
Amazing. It's good to hear. And anyway, good things come to those who wait. It is an awesome manufactured bit of kit, and it really is just the epitome of plug and play. Super easy to set up. So I think you guys done a good job there.
Yeah, thanks. And I just love the ADSB thing. I mean, in terms of something that's a DePIN device, I mean, a lot of this is, bringing what's a real world need to the community to do. And it's not always that fun. It's really, about building out this network, and the back end of it and generating revenue is really the exciting part. But in case of the Wingbits device, I find the thing addictive. So I have one, of course, up on the roof of my house. My house happens to be on approach into San Francisco Airport. And I just can't, when I'm bored, I just flip open the page and watch the planes. And then I run outside. Oh, there's the Emirates A380. It's really, really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And, I can't wait to see this thing upgraded to track drones, because I think people will be really freaking surprised as to how many drones that are in the airspace. And that's a real, I think, business opportunity, and also something that's sort of surprising. And then when you sort of think about it more deeply, quite frankly, a bit frightening. So it's really cool. But just air traffic in general, I think we all have a certain affection for airplanes, and seeing the airspace above you, visualize, and the planes moving out, where they're going, it's just really cool. It's just got a definitely more fun factor than probably almost any other DePIN that I know.
It is fun. I was on the console this morning as well, because we set a device up quite recently. I just wanted to see how it was doing, and I love how you can see exactly, pretty much the nearest 10 seconds where the plane is, and if you click on it, not only you get a load of information about it, but you see where it's been as well. So you see the entire I was looking at domestic flight one. You can see all the journeys it's done. I think it was for the day. It's awesome.
That's really cool.
And you can, a lot of applications for that as well. So that was awesome. But go back on the GeoNet front, I think another one as well was in terms of geographical coverage. You had a couple of key regions. One of them was Latin America, one was Southeast Asia. How's progress going there?
It's good. It's good. So, as you know, we've been working with a couple of partners to work through and build out coverage in Brazil, and that is going amazing. I think that Southeast Asia is looking better and better. There's still a few gaps in Japan. We have some customers that are almost screaming at us every day, basically get more stations in some areas in Japan. So our head of GNS at UDAN, he's on our ass about it. He's like, we got to, he's pushing Sharon, he's pushing the whole team, find a way to get these stations filled, because he gets a lot of the direct kind of customer feedback from our larger customers about where they want stations. So there's a few spots we still need to get going on. These places like Korea and Japan, I think they're been really successful for things like a drive to earn project. But for things that go on the rooftop, just not that many people own rooftop space in modern Japan or Korea. It's all apartments, and it's not so easy to get up there and capture that rooftop space. So, but I think we'll get it done. It's just, there are a few areas that are quite urgent that we're pushing. I think we've posted on that on X like 2 or 3 times, and I'm sure it'll happen. But areas like Brazil, I mean, the progress has been remarkable, and that is a tough place to get deployments done too, between their crazy ass import tax and just the logistics of how big that country is and the roads, and so
processes as well. I hear.
Yeah, so it's great progress.
But on the Japan front, I'm sure nothing a few super hexes can't fix as well.
We have them. They're waiting.
Yeah. And obviously, we can't speculate on token price, anything like that. But we've got the halving coming up. Some people might say that that's a good indication. But no, it's awesome to hear. Like, you guys have been nailing it. On that note, another goal was, it wasn't for 2025. It's going to take a bit longer, but I think it was 10 mil in ARR, annual recurring revenue. And while we're still a way off, I looked at the numbers yesterday ahead of this, and it's astonishing, right? So in October of last year, we're now at nearly double what you were earning back then in terms of revenues. Like, the growth has been pretty astonishing. I think if my quick back of the piece of paper maths was right, it's approaching 3 mil ARR. Does that sound about right?
Well, from a foundation point of view, it's 4 million ARR. Then we have the 80% buyback and burn. So it's cooking along. I think we're have very good customers already signed up. And so a lot of it is kind of waiting for some of their things to mature. And we're sometimes a bit of a taker on, we don't directly go out and seek end user subscribers. We work with B2B partners who go out and do that. And we have some very excellent customers, some that are public, like Quectel, which we announced last week. Now, we've been working with Quectel for years, but they, wanted to kind of reaffirm their support, and they've introduced some new GNSS modules that I think are going to do very well. And then we have some others that are similar to that we can't name, that are out there. And so we have a very good core group of, I'd say, 10 very solid customers that are already very significant in revenue, that have a lot more upward trajectory capability. And then we have another 30 plus smaller customers that are getting started, that they're really helping their businesses kind of take off. And I think those also have a lot of potential. A lot of those are in these very kind of frontier fields, be it augmented reality, robotics, like ground robots, and of course drones. And drones is definitely already a good piece of business, but I think that space is going to continue to grow. The productivity you can get from aerial work is tremendous. And I mean, robots in general, they have an ROI. They have a payback associated with them. So as this technology has kind of come together, where the sensors are there, the things like Geodnet that provide foundational kind of geospatial intelligence for them, they're ready to hit prime time. And we couldn't be, technically that's where almost all of our time is going, is building out a platform to build robots on top of, and to provide those robots geospatial intelligence and ability. It's really, localization is one of the very hardest problems. And when you get it right, it's a superpower. If I could remember where everything I put was to centimeter accuracy, I mean, my productivity would go through the roof. And that's kind of, robots kind of need that. But they also can benefit from that. I mean, then they can share that, right? It's absolutely positioned data. So I figure out where everything is, and then I can give it to my nearest neighbor, and they know where it is. I think it's a vision. It's really powerful. I know Nils at Aki talks about it a lot. I'm not sure people really understand just what a capability that is, because we as humans can't actually do it. But robots, once you have the underlying tech, it's trivial for them. And so a lot of cool things to come.
If I had £1 for every minute of my life I spend looking for something that I've lost. And I know that you've got a soft spot for robots as well, but it's really good to hear that there's such a diverse use case when it comes to the mix of GeoNet clients as well, just because RTK is so applicable to so many different industries. So that's really cool to hear as well.
Indeed.
Cool. Anything else that you wanted to cover on GeoNet before we dive into the Rover partnership? Any other cool news or anything else you wanted to mention?
I would just mention that we are hard at work on new quests for the GeoPulse, and so that'll be announced next week. And I think these are going to be some more exciting ones. And then we have another set of quests after that are coming that I think are going to actually be quite cool, because they're going to use augmented reality involved in them. And then after that, we have, we're doing direct support for the Solana phone, the Seeker phone. Wow. And I think that I talked about that last week in New York at Solana Accelerate, and then that really got a lot of traction. And I think that it'll be cool, because when you try to do RTK on a phone, we've been working on it for a while. We've talked about it in our roadmap without any extra hardware. A lot of the challenge is, like, all the phones are different. Some have certain frequencies of GNSS signals they support. Others have different ones, and you can't really count on what ephemeris data you're going to get. It's kind of a mess, which is not surprising because it's Android, but this is one singular device. We worked with them from the Solana Mobile team from day one to make sure there's a chip in there that has all the signals that we want. So I think it's going to, and because of this consistency, whatever the vagaries are, we can kind of try to work around them some, because we know, hey, it's going to be the same on every device because it's the Solana Mobile Seeker device. So we are putting quite some effort into that to have a specific Quest app for the Solana Seeker that we think, you won't need any other hardware for. You'll be able to get it right off the phone. You'll be able to do these quests. You'll be able to do other things that we're thinking about. We're pretty excited about that. And when we shared that at Solana Accelerate, it got a lot of traction. So I think those are all very positive indicators. So we hope to see that. Obviously, it's not immediate because the phone doesn't ship till August. So probably think, September, October time before people can really start to play with it. But definitely our team is hard at work on it.
Amazing. And sorry if this comes across as a bit of a stupid question, but are the you made sure the Solana phone is compatible with GeoNet from day one. Is that so that the phone can validate and verify the Geo network coverage, or is it so the phone itself can use the RTK services?
Or the phone itself can use the RTK service. So there'll be two foundational pieces of it. One is that we can prove location. So if you're a D app that needs to do rewards or needs to do anything based on location, you can trust the location when you come through the Geodnet SDK. So that's one capability. The other capability is improved accuracy. Now, you're not going to get 1 centimeter out of this thing just because the antennas won't be big enough, and just the vagaries of, even though you have an incredible GNSS chip in this phone, it's a very good chip. We know the chip super well. It's the same chip that's in like the LC29H. It's a good, solid piece of dual band GNSS silicon, supports all the constellations. All the raw data comes through the Android API. So they have this raw sensor API. So we have everything we need to do, but you're still not going to probably get 1 centimeter. But to think that you're going to be able to get decimeter accuracy, yes. And that can radically change the experience you have from a positioning point of view directly with the phone, absolutely. So those are the two pinnacles. One's better accuracy. One's the proof of location. I think they're both really important. I don't know, for those that are familiar with the Android phone, I mean, when we make use of this with the GeoPulse, there's this feature called mock location. You enable mock location, you can make the phone think it's anywhere it wants with trivially. You don't have to do fancy satellite SDR hacking, which you can definitely do too. It's not that hard. You follow their YouTube videos on it. You buy a $100 gadget, download some data from a network that has the ephemeris. Like Geodnet has all the ephemeris data, but you can also get it like off public JPL website, and you can hack the satellites and you can make your phone move. That's incredibly scary stuff. But you don't even have to do that on Android. You just go enable mock location and you inject mock location. You put a mock location app in there. All the other apps on the phone will then follow that mock location. And it's convenient for developers, it's convenient for things like GeoPulse, but it also makes it really hard if you're an app that's counting on someone doing something at a certain location to trust it, because it's so easy to fake. Well, if you come through the Geodnet SDK, because we have this proof of location capability with the satellite ephemeris and all the stuff that's in our white paper, we can protect that. So if you're a DApp that does want to create incentives or wants to create actions that are controlled by location, maybe for KYC or for other reasons, copyright, whatever licensing restrictions you want to do, we'll be able to support that on the Solana phone.
That's really cool.
So it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. I'm also thinking of other like use cases, like other DePINs building.
Exactly.
Like if you think of something like Silencio,
you don't want people using mock location to trick Silencio into thinking that they're getting noise data from somewhere that they have customers from, when in fact the person's actually just sitting in their apartment in New York City or whatever. I mean, it's easy to do.
It's another application of GeoNet I never even thought of before. So again, just reinforcing the point I was making of like, it's so diverse. It's awesome tech. So yeah, kudos to you guys for doing such an awesome job as well. And cool. Should we segue into the Rover partnership? I'd love to dive into that a bit more, because I think that you two projects, you complement each other so well, right? So maybe a bit of background, like how did the partnership develop? How did you guys come together and decide to do this?
Yeah, so I first met Guang, like 2.5 years ago at a IoTech's real world event at ETH Denver. So a long time ago, and he and I got to chatting. He worked at a company here in Silicon Valley that we had some mutual connections to called Velodyne. And Velodyne was the OG first LiDAR company kind of around right when Google was getting started, experimenting with self-driving cars. And he was kind of their applications engineer and helping them sell those LiDARs. And so we had, some common interests, and he knew about RTK, which now is a little bit more common, but 2.5 years ago was less, because RTK, prior to sort of Geodnet and a lot of these sort of mass market chips that have come out, and the fact that this stuff is now showing up in the Android devices and things like that, it was a very specialized field that was really for surveyors, machine control and construction and agriculture. It wasn't, and people in automotive were starting to work on it, but it wasn't nearly as broad as it is today. So it was kind of cool to meet somebody at an event that kind of really understood what we were doing and how fundamental it was. And we just started talking. And over the years, I followed their project. And I think that we see in Geodnet a lot of customers using our service alongside LiDAR. If you go, there's a show in Germany we do called InterGeo, and it's I think the most important commercial show for high accuracy geospatial equipment. And that show now is like 50% RTK equipment and 50% LiDAR. So I sort of see this, very clear synergy in the Web 2 side. A lot of people are using LiDAR with RTK to build, different types of HD geospatial data products. And I see, hey, Guang has been able to innovate on the hardware like Geodnet. He's been able to build an ecosystem to kind of create a piece of hardware that's reasonably cost, because most LiDAR RTK scanning equipment, it starts at $20,000, $30,000. Very, very expensive. Some of it, the Leica has a system called Pegasus, which is their flagship mobile mapping system that they sell to like DOTs and construction firms for doing mobile-based driving. That's a $500,000 system. I mean, it's got a lot of cameras, more LiDARs, is super fancy, but the entry point, it's the same thing HiveMapper always talks about. It's these $500,000 rigs that people put on cars. That's a real thing. And what I saw with Guang was he was being able to innovate to get that into a actual affordable DePIN device at $2,500. The light cone, I mean, the LiDAR on it is freaking awesome. And it's got a camera, it's got the very powerful CPU and compute, and then all of that pinned to a globally referenceable location through RTK, right? RTK is an Earth-centered coordinate frame. Like, put a coordinate frame through the Earth, I can pin things to a location within a centimeter or two. That's pretty incredible, because that's the type of data product that people are spending a ton of money to actually develop and do in Web 2. And he's building that pipeline to do it in the Web 3 way and to do it in an affordable way. And I just like, wow, this is really, really powerful stuff. Yeah. And I did see, I mean, I think there's a kind of another thing that I think a lot of people observed with Rover that I'm hoping Geodnet can help with is that, I mean, we're not perfect at it either by any means, but this sort of whole marketing, and I mean, he's a very technical guy, just like us. And it's hard for us super nerds to do the business and marketing stuff right. I think GeoDnet has gotten better at it over the couple of years, and so we're hoping we can share some of those learnings on that, and also brainstorm, learn from him too, and try to improve that, and make sure that Rover has the opportunity to really succeed.
100%. No, it's a really cool backstory. And obviously, Rover are benefiting from Geodnet, the Geodnet service, for their product. But then touching back on what we were talking about before, there are, I guess, business development synergies, because there are clients that either you guys have at Geodnet as existing clients who might be interested in the Rover data, or you could both kind of pursue the same client together that might be interested in like a combined service offering. Could you maybe elaborate on that and what those customers look like that would want both data sets?
Yeah, I think they're two, just stepping back, like they're two fundamental types of customers for Rover. Actually, really three, but let's start with self-driving, because that is the kind of cornerstone of the business. Within self-driving, there are two kind of classes of customers. There are traditional automotive companies, and there are startups. And even Waymo really is a startup. But in the traditional automotive companies, there's an ecosystem, and that ecosystem includes tier ones, which build like ADAS boxes, and what they call precision boxes that take in camera and RTK and do positioning for the vehicle. We have some of the chipsets that go into those are already GeoDnet customers. Those boxes, a lot of them do have like a GPU in them that helps with a sort of autonomous mapping, helps with the ADAS control system. We think those customers are good potential data customers. It may take a little bit of time, just because automotive, I was on a podcast the other day talking about how GeoDnet sales cycle really from first meeting a customer to real material revenue is about 2 years. And they're like, man, that's long. Automotive is even longer. 5 years, it can be a long sales cycle. Now, data can move faster, so that's good. So I think data sales doesn't necessarily have to take the full length of time that, say, selling a production part like a sensor into a car does, but it does take some time. And I think that market is very big, has a big need to try to avoid becoming completely centralized around a single player in the marketplace. And even the big central players want to acquire data. And we've already had some great inbound from some of the biggest names in that kind of automotive passenger car ecosystem around ADAS and automated driving features. And then you have these sort of startups that are doing kind of full level 4 autonomy. And they range at all different types of platforms they're working on, from robo taxis to delivery vehicles to trucks, different things. If you're a startup in this field, what I've seen, and I've seen it over and over again, the first thing you have to do is you go buy a bunch of LiDAR equipment from Leica or Trimble Atlantics or whatever, and you buy a bunch of compute, you buy a bunch of cars, you have to rent space here in Silicon Valley, which is very, very, very expensive. You have to hire drivers. Your super nerd brain AI engineer does not want to drive around all day, so you end up hiring drivers. You are $1 million, $2 million in before you've gotten your first data set that has that HD RTK backed high quality data set that you can use for developing your self-driving product, whether it's a simulator, whether it's a full vehicle, whether it's a perception layer, whatever it is that you're in that ecosystem, you need that data. And you have spent a ton of that VC money that you raised before you've done any work. And Rover completely changes the game on that for startups. So I think startups in autonomy is another major category that can super seriously benefit from what Rover's doing. So those are the two categories in this full self-driving market, which I think is going to be, has come out of the valley of death. Okay. It went through a hype cycle back 6-7 years ago. Everyone thought it was going to happen tomorrow. It didn't. But it's come out of the valley of death. If you're in San Francisco or you're in LA or you're in Phoenix, you see these vehicles all over the place from Waymo, and they are running super smoothly. And people I bump into all the time. Oh yeah, I took a ride on Waymo. It was fantastic. So the code has been cracked. It's going to happen. Tesla's made amazing progress in the field as well. It's going to go big. And automotive is I don't want to use any obscenities because it'll get censored on the YouTube, but it is a massive, massive, massive market that can be completely revolutionized by this tech stack. Then the last piece, the third leg, which I think there's going to be cases for with Rover, is people doing more specialized data sets around HD mapping, whether it's for a construction project, whether it's for city compliance of like road work that needs to be done. These guys do this all the time, whether they're trees that are encroaching onto power lines. You can see all of that. When you look at a data set from Rover, it looks like a drone flew it, but it's actually just from your vehicle. It's crazy. So I think there's going to be that. Some of those, there's going to be some interesting cases where maybe some of those data sets get collected, but they get sold one time, but not in a way that's sellable to everybody, because there may be data sets that get collected off the Rover hardware through the DePIN model on kind of a Quest-like approach, if you will, that are actually end up being private. So we're looking into that a bit, but I think our number one focus is on this full self-driving space. Rover has an opportunity, I think, to really accelerate the adoption of full self-driving and make it where the only company that succeeds isn't, Google, which in all fairness, they've had to work really hard at. But these things where it becomes like one company and they kind of own the market, that always ends badly. And I can't imagine a market where it could end worse than physical AI. I mean, if you think about like all the humanoids or all the self-driving cars being controlled by one company, I mean, first of all, it's physically very, very dangerous. And two, it's like, man, that's going to be super ultra extractive in the end. And that's of course why they're working on it that way. But here in the DePIN world, we want to build a set of technologies that can prevent that from happening and can make it a little bit more of a, decentralized and anyone can come and play type of business model.
Absolutely. Being able to break up those monopolies. And I guess that's what DePIN does best. It sounds like from what you're saying as well, in terms of Rover's USP, it just comes down to scale and cost of collecting that data as well. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. And I think, being able to do it in a decentralized way. So scale, I think, fits that. But, right off the bat, we're seeing really good uptake. We have actually already a really great customer who's consuming data. I think it's going to be a quite powerful narrative for the European car market. And then the rest of the world, I mean, it's the data collection piece is tough. I think it's a very tough nut to crack to keep it updated, and DePIN might frankly be the only path to scale it in this model.
100%. It's crazy. The second you started talking about Google taking over the world, my Amazon Alexa just started playing Stevie Wonder's Superstitious. So I'll be back in 1 second. I don't know what's going on there, but
I don't want to know. I really don't want to know.
It sounds like they've got the scale, they've got the cost of collection, they're going to have a data set that no one else really has, and that's a huge head start. Plus having the partnership with Geodnet, the synergies that you guys are going to get, it's amazing. Like a lot of hosts on podcasts say they're excited for this and excited for that. I genuinely am very excited to see what you guys can do together.
Likewise.
And we've got a couple of light cones at Future Networks as well. We're testing them at the moment. It's going awesome. It's a really cool bit of kit. As you say, the technology is just
that's really cool. Well, I appreciate your support on that, and definitely share your feedback with the Rover team. One of the unique things is a unique business model. I don't think it's been tried before, where we're providing the RTK service to Rover for free, but then on the back end, 20% of their revenue will buy back and burn GEOD tokens. So I think that it's a really good way to kind of accelerate the sort of front end of the process, the supply build out, in a way that makes it's already a, pretty expensive piece of kit to start off with, but, to make it affordable and to get it out there and to use something that's proven and trusted on the positioning side. And then, but come back and when the business takes off, return some of that value back to GEOD token holders. As well as, of course, Rover token holders will be the biggest beneficiary. But I think it's an exciting way. And the two, as I push, my personal time is more and more being spent on building kind of a platform for robotics, and looking at like the fact that the silicon ecosystem is all screwed up for this. This is another whole long story. What can Geodnet do there? That having this team with us to get the sort of visual side, the camera and the LiDAR data, is really important, because these things end up being kind of total solutions from a customer perspective. So RTK is an important fundamental layer to provide that absolute reference point. But the camera and LiDAR data is also absolutely necessary because you have to see things in the real world, right? You can't, there are not too many robotic applications that are blind. There are a few, actually, surprising, like robotic mowers can almost operate blindly, but they do need, some sensing to do obstacles, but can be pretty simple. But something like a humanoid or a robotic car has to, obviously interact with the real world in a very, very complete and safe way. And so that connectivity there is key for us long term.
Yeah, and back to the point on the partnership as well. Like, it's awesome that 20% of their revenue is going towards burning the GeoDnet token. That's kind of novel. It's almost reminiscent of the Helium sub-DAO model, but I think it makes total sense, right? Because everyone benefits. They get that kickstart from a cheaper or like free essential service from GeoDnet's positioning. At the end of the day, you guys, the GeoDnet Foundation are also investors in the company, so you have a vested interest in them succeeding. And then the GeoDnet token holders benefiting from that, or the Geo token holders, that's awesome as well. It's quite novel and it's quite exciting to see within the DePIN ecosystem.
It's definitely a new thing, and we sort of scratched our head a lot about different ways to structure things, and it came out right. And in the end, the most important thing is that these projects succeed. So, and I think that's really more about the spirit of the community and the spirit of the team, and that's the top. If we win, we all are going to win. So that's number one. But we do think it's a pretty novel structure.
Yeah, and I mean, the community that you guys have built is awesome as well, and I think you're doing an amazing job there. I've got a million other questions I'd love to ask you about the robotics and other things, but I think we'll have to leave it for another one. Coming to the close here. So any other closing remarks you want to leave everyone with, Mike?
Just keep on happy mining, and I think we're implementing a lot of stuff, so stay tuned. People count on these stations, really, really. So keep your station running, don't move it, keep the internet up. This stuff is live, so think about that. I mean, GeoDnet is really being used all the time, and my phone goes nuts if there's any problems. So that's my closing comment. Please, we're all in this together, right? This is a community thing. We are all in this together, and GeoDnet is it's a very mission critical to a lot of customers. So keep up the good work, but also take it seriously. Yeah.
Amazing. Great close. And Mike, with that, thanks so much for coming on again. Always a pleasure to catch up. And hopefully have you back on at some point soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.